Welcome to Fire and Ice, a show about topics in the news. I'm Sevag, also known as Ice.
And I'm Lorenzo Neal, also known as Fire.
Today's topic that we're going to be talking about is the economy. I, as Ice, say we let the economy be, and if people don't make it, they don't make it. We don't have the capacity to carry people on like we've been doing. So the strong survive, and I'm sorry, everyone else needs to step to the side. What do you think about that, Fire?
Well, it's really interesting to hear you use such harsh language for millions of people that are hurting. It's interesting when you make the comparison and say, let the strong survive, survival of the fittest. We're not animals. People are human beings. And when you look and you say, take away, the services that the government provides, Social Security and welfare and certain things, unemployment that's there, I disagree. I think the system needs some correcting. The system needs to be corrected. But when you say just let them go to the side and let the strong survive, you need to expound on that a little more for me.
Because look, our government does not have money. California doesn't have money, yet we're paying people millions and millions and millions, and they're staying home all day. There are people younger than me, more healthier than me, stronger than me, and they're staying home all day because they know that there's that cushion that the government provides. Simple as that. There are jobs out there for everybody. If they don't want to do it, then we shouldn't support them. Sorry.
Well, when you say that, I do agree that the system needs to be overhauled. I think there's a fundamental difference in what we believe, and most of it is predicated on the system. So when you look at these services that are out there, the government and certain agencies that are out there, now don't they get their money from the system? Because they're going in and working, there's tax dollars, there's congressmen, there's senators and stuff, they pass bills, they're supposed to be the ears of the community. How are they being funded? How are they being paid? The same way that these people are getting disability, getting food stamps, the same way from tax dollars. So how dare you sit and say that those people are able to receive funds from the government, from tax dollars, which you said that we have no more of, and how are they, and what's the difference? Now, I do agree that the system needs to be overhauled, needs to be fixed. When you say there's abundance of jobs, no, when you look at unemployment, jobs in certain sector of the world has been squished because of the internet and certain things that people already do. The grocery stores and internet, when you look at shopping, when you see that now you don't have to have that many employees because why? Business people that are running these entities, because they have a fiduciary duty to their shareholders to make the margins and make sure that the shares and the stocks are increasing. They have to cut costs. And sometimes, Sevag, it falls on the employees, not lazy people. Just because you have certain people that abuse the system, don't put everyone in that category. And when you look at this, I think that you have to be careful how you word and how we say that just let them fall by the wayside. Do you know what kind of mayhem that you could start and we could cause? So I do agree, like I said, that the system is fundamentally broke. And until we're able to put a system in place, educate the individuals. See, when your nose is running and I give you a Kleenex or a tissue, see, I treated the problem, I treated the symptom, but not the problem. The problem is you have something, something inside of you, an infection that you need medicine for. So by just cutting it off, you treat the problem, you treat the symptom, but not the problem. The problem is lack of education. Got to rebuild the system, restructure, educate people, find other jobs, and make people able to go out and work and give them the necessary tools in order to be successful in this economy.
I was 16 years old. I didn't have an education. I was a high school student, but guess what I did? Because I wanted money, because I needed money. I went out and I washed cars. I worked at a car lot, running cars back and forth. The only education I needed for that job is how to drive. There are tons of people out there that can wash dishes, they could sweep floors, they can do janitorial work. I'm not putting down that business because there's a lot of money being made in that business, but people need to start somewhere and they don't want to do it. You know why they don't want to do it? Because they don't want to make minimum wage, because they know by sitting at home Uncle Sam is going to take care of them. And that's wrong. What we need to do is cut it now, let people understand that they can't sit back, and we cannot tolerate any more of these millions and billions of dollars actually going to these programs, and people are abusing them.
Well, it's interesting because I look at certain systems that are out there that's put in place through our government, and we've seen how many systems have been abused. We take, for instance, look at the IRS right now and what they're doing to some of these nonprofits, going after the Tea Party. So I look at this, Alexander, and I mean, when you look at this fire and you say, how can, I'm listening at you, and the disconnect is, I think when you say just cut it, I think that you would cause a huge rise in crime. You see that crime is already on the rise because people are trying to say, how do I support my kids? How do I support families? You're talking about individuals, and you're saying that everyone that is receiving, disability and food stamps or welfare, you're saying that everyone should be cut off. I think that's wrong. What if tomorrow the job that you have is all of a sudden goes bye-bye? I'm not saying that you can't have the ability to go out and get another job, but you paid into the system and you're getting unemployment. If you have to get aid in order to help you, what's wrong with that? Until, though, our system is overhauled, until we're able to put a system in place that's going to educate, quit being a part of the problem and be part of the solution. When you say just cut, when you're cutting, you're not educating. If someone knocked on your door and said, hey, let me wash your car, you look at that individual, and some people would be wouldn't be receptive of that. So when you use certain these analogies and you understand that we live in different than what it was 20 years ago, because people now are afraid and they just don't open their doors because of things, how the world that we live in now, it's constantly evolving and it's changing. So now we have to say, until we do a better job of educating and making sure that we teach people not just education, but give them a trait, let them learn a skill. Put these charters and put things in places for people to learn a trait and a skill to make them successful, for they don't have to necessarily depend on the system. But until the system is able to educate these individuals that lack of knowledge, some of lack of education, some of lack of skills, and if we do that, if we teach people how to become sharecroppers, if we teach people, how to become dishwashers and do certain things, I think the system would have a way of correcting itself. But until we have leaders step up and say, look, we understand that the system's broke. We understand that the real estate market was going up in the 90s, 20, 30% a quarter, and people were still buying when Greenspan was standing up there saying, hey, keep it down, and they kept interest rates down, and people were buying, and we let this thing spin out of control. It was because of greed. So you're sitting here and you're putting everyone into a category, but everyone wasn't in that situation. Everyone wasn't out buying. Everyone wasn't out taking advantage of the system. Everyone out there fixing papers for people that weren't qualified to do loans and buy homes. But now if you say that, then so why did we bail the banks out and gave way more money to what the food stamps and what the welfare and what Social Security is doing? I mean, billions of dollars, how many banks that we had to bail out, how many auto industries we had to bail out. And now you sit here, how dare you sit here and talk about individuals when you look at the system and how it's been unfair in so many unjust ways, and now we want to talk about a small, minute population
that are costing us billions and billions of dollars. We have a system in place that gives people a hand. What people want now is a piggyback ride. I'm not giving anybody a piggyback ride. I'll give them a hand if they need it, but it's like a bird in a nest, that once those birds learn how to fly, it's time to push them out and let them fly on their own. We'll give them a hand, but now what people are relying on and they expect is a piggyback ride. Cut it early, and let them go out and find jobs.
But until you're able to educate and put in a system in place, you're going to continue to have this problem. And when you sit here and say, to give them a piggyback ride, do you know, when you look at Republicans and Democrats, we supposed to live in a country that's supposed to be united. But yet it's been more and more, it's getting more and more divided. Why? Because you have the haves and the have-not. You have a country that is the best country in the world, ICE. And when you look at this country and you say, where are we going? When you have Democrats pushing, if you don't vote Democrat, we're going to take away the jobs. If you don't vote Democrat, you're not going to have the opportunity. If you don't vote Democrat, all the jobs are going to be taken away. If you don't, and then the Republicans and then Republicans say, God, if you don't, then we're going to keep giving the subsidizing to these people. We're going to just, and it separates. We're going to keep shipping, and Democrats are saying, well, if you do, they're going to keep shipping out these jobs to China where they're paying them $2 an hour, Mexico where they're underprivileged and they're underwage when they're getting barely $2 or pennies on the week. There's a disconnect. And until the system is fundamentally corrected, we're going to continue to have that. And if you think one is good without the other, no. The pendulum have swung. And I don't think it's in the right spot right now. I think we both agree there. But if you look at both parties and what they're pushing, but yet and still, when you look at the Republican side, when we want to send jobs to, Africa and Mexico and China and smaller places where they work in the sweatbox, not equal opportunity, different pesticides are being in the paint and all the different stuff, and it's being shipped over here because of free trade and NAFTA. There is so when you look at this and you talk about the system and you're talking about giving people handouts and not a handout, and you're talking about this, you got to be able to look at the whole picture.
I do.
And if you don't look at that, shame on you.
I do look at the whole picture, and the whole picture is how many times do you drive somewhere and it says help wanted? How many places? I see that all over the places, but guess what? A lot of people don't want to do those jobs. You know why? Because they expect to get more money. They don't want to be seen mopping floors, washing dishes, cleaning cars and stuff like that. But that's a starting point. I wasn't educated at 16. What did I know? But I knew that I needed to work to make money because I didn't know that I could stay at home and get money. My parents never taught me that. My parents never told me stay home and the government will give you money. So if I could do it at 16, look at these people who are 20s, 30s, 40s. They're stronger than me. They're healthier than me. Let them go out there and do what I did at age 16 and move up the chain. You're not going to stay there forever. Work hard at what you do, and you can make it. We live in a country with opportunity. There's opportunity all around us, even in this weak economy.
I'm not disagreeing with you that opportunity is not around. But when you sit and you say that, hey, there's all kinds of jobs and things are out there, there's certain people that are out there, and if you look at the college, let's just not talk about the uneducated and all that. There's a census that came out about college graduates now that are looking for jobs and there are unemployment. A regular BA degree means pretty much nothing now. And there's a lot of college students that are graduating and they're getting jobs not in the thousands and millions. They're still having to go to school and get their master's. The opportunity now is very, very shrinking. The opportunity is really, really shrinking. So when you're looking at these certain jobs, though, even on the lower end, you look at certain jobs. How many of these people, they are people applying for certain jobs, but maybe there's something that's in their life. Maybe they got in trouble or something happened and they can't get the job. So when you look at certain people and they've done certain things in their past and they're part of the system now. See, the system, and when I mean that it's broke, a lot of times people get involved and caught up in the system, whether they're young, old, got caught up in the system. And what happens to these individuals when they try to apply for the job? It punishes them. That automatically is a disclaimer, and people say, well, you know what, you shouldn't have gotten in trouble, they shouldn't have
Right,
did
you
this.
reap what you sow.
So if that's the case, so what do you want to do with these people? ICE, when you sit there and you say, don't give people other second chances in life, it's really disheartening when I can hear someone say, well, God, that person did that. There is a lot of people in this society, and more crime has been committed with a pen and a paper and a briefcase than any ski mask and a gun. So put all these CEOs and people that are doing the day trading and you're buying, selling stocks and called turn and burn and taking millions of dollars from people because they trust an individual. The Madoffs of the world, all these different people that move this and they still have opportunity, go on Wall Street every day and the government tries to step in to try to correct the problem. Shame on you, ICE, when you sit there and you say that, when you talk about individuals less off. Crime is crime.
We don't have time for a rebuttal because we're running out of time in the program.
We need to come back and visit this one.
We will come back and
because
visit
I think
this
there's
one
a lot that we can go
There is a
here.
rebuttal on my end that the audience didn't get a chance to see. That's all for this edition of Fire and Ice. I'm cold and I'm ice.
And I'm fire and I'm low and I got him today.
Tune in next week for a new program.